In today's episode of the Deadly Dozen podcast, we're here in Dubai in mine and Simon's apartment, and we're joined by May and also Cameron. So you two are business partners for Deadly Dozen South Africa and now also Deadly Dozen UAE, or even should we say GCC. So you're both business partners, but you're also partners as well as that. So you're both engaged, aren't you?
Yeah.
Congratulations, that was recent,
Thank
wasn't
you.
it? So first and foremost, we'll talk about what we've got planned and what you specifically do with Deadly Dozen South Africa so far. But quickly tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in a very small town in South Africa, and then I studied actuarial science, and then that went on to fashion design, and then Cam and I met quite soon after that, and I started working for Deadly Dozen.
Wow. So you've never actually done anything within the fitness industry or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Just decided, right, this is the opportunity. And obviously Cam got in touch with me, and he just sort of seized that opportunity and was like, what you guys have achieved in the last 12 months in South Africa has been incredible, hasn't
Thank
it?
you.
Because, you know, selling out races. So on the Deadly Dozen side then, what do you see your role? What's your business role?
Well, I think marketing is very big, and it's like a community that you have to build in South Africa, and the people are so different to the rest of the world because it is like a family. It's a whole different culture by itself. So I think, you know, to know that and to learn that and growing through that, selling tickets, putting on events, you know, I see myself just growing with the job with Deadly Dozen in SA, I think.
So what would you say then? Obviously we've got Simon and the media team in the UK, and obviously I've got a fairly good understanding of Instagram, social media in the UK. So what would you say the major difference is? Like if I was to be the director of South Africa and was heading things up, and you were working as my advisor, as essentially a marketeer, what would you say are the key things or key considerations that you have to make when speaking to the South African audience?
Well, I think there's a few, but I think like bantering a lot with people and really pushing the South African angle, just South Africans. I mean, there's so many different cultures in South Africa, but just the word South African means so much to people. If you just really hammer on into like that specific point, anything can do well.
Yeah.
You know, and even like bantering with other countries, not that there's necessarily anything wrong with them, but the fact that you're South African and proud South African, that's a big thing you kind of have to play into.
And really push it, because you've got the South African Maori flag, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so obviously South Africa, a lot of the time, where British people go wrong is they almost see Africa as this Africa's Africa, but it's so huge, isn't it? And even South Africa's huge. So is there much difference between, say, you know, when I think South Africa, you think, right, one country. But obviously there's Cape Town, there's Durban, there's Johannesburg, all these different areas. Is there major differences in the way that you approach each?
Yes, no, I think every town we go to, Joburg versus Cape Town, people will tell you, and then Durban is almost a country on its own. It all still plays in the South African line, but there's different ways to sort of like Cape Town's a little bit more luxurious. I think the Joburg people are really rough and so there's different ways to go about it. But I think even just any South African would tell you South Africa is, they love the banter and the fun, but it is quite different,
Yeah, just a different. And how is it heat-wise on the races?
It's in winter it's quite cold, but the people push through, and in summer it can get hot. We haven't had like a really hot day just yet, but I think it is coming. December, the spring seasons for South Africa, I think is going to be quite something.
And you guys have competed, have you not, as a pair?
Yeah,
How did you find that?
It was the male weights were for me a little bit too heavy. I did like 3 reps and Cam did 57, so he really pushed through.
Especially on the overhead work, because people often this is a good opportunity to just reinforce this. So on the Deadly Dozen, you have to use the mixed, when we do mixed pairs, so male and female, they have to use the male weights, and that's because on the distance labours, which are like farmers carry, dumbbell lunges, you can change at any time. So if you wanted to swap to another set of weights, who's carrying them for you? You know, is it a judge bringing them weights across? So that's why it has to work that way. But it's been something a lot of people ask about. a lot of female athletes that, you know, love it, that they want the extra challenge, and some go, it's a little bit too heavy for me because, you know, the snatch and the push.
No, I think I just, my upper body needs some work, but I know this. I think I would actually enjoy it a lot with Cam. I think we race well together. It's just I do need to work on the upper body strength.
And how's your running?
My running's fun. I think we're good.
Better running than Cam?
I believe so.
I believe so, yeah. But it's, what we wanted to do with Deadly Dozen is make sure there was a lot of upper body. And obviously the way I saw it is, we got a little bit, not criticism, but a lot of older men commenting saying them weights are a little bit heavy. But the way I saw it was, if you were signed up for a marathon, you'd have to do the running for a marathon. And if you're signed up for a Deadly Dozen, you have to do overhead strength, you have to do weights, you have to do running, you have to do overhead. So obviously we're expanding now into the GCC. We're starting with Dubai.
Yeah.
And obviously you've done a great job. We've got HQ's marketing team and we're all working together really well. We've got probably over a dozen different Instagram pages now across, you know, USA, Canada, Latin America, Australia. But obviously you're going to be heavily involved in the marketing into Dubai and the UAE and, you know, beyond, you know, in this area. So what do you think are your key considerations there? And are you quite excited to approach that? Are you sort of going, well, how am I going to approach this compared to South Africa?
Yeah, no, so I'm really excited. I think it's going to be such a challenge, and learning this type of culture, which we all know is very different to the rest of the world. So I'm very excited, but I think what's most important is to actually speak to the gym owners, the athletes that actually have done other sports, to see what type of community, because the fitness community is also sort of a culture by its own. So the one lady we did speak to was hammering on about, like, if to market in Dubai is for a fitness event, you got to focus on the athletes, where in South Africa you'd focus on the community and building that. But I think here it should be really important that the athletes are the main focus, like very individual or doubles, you know, partners, but it's very much the athletes.
Yeah, we get that sense is that almost, obviously there's massive expats here, and they're going to be a large proportion of who sign up to the race. So essentially, even though a lot of countries are obviously multicultural and people from all over the place, but in the UK, the majority of people at the races are from the UK, and in South Africa, I'm sure it's very similar. Here, there's going to be people from all over the world that have come to Dubai. A lot of the gym owners that we've seen are from all over the world. So we're speaking to them individuals. Yeah. So would you say that, obviously, like someone we spoke to here, is the focus is more the elite side of sport compared to South Africa, or more so about just focus on the race experience for the individual rather than focusing on, because what you guys do so well in South Africa is probably more than anywhere else in the world right now for Deadly Dozen, is you really focus on like kids play areas, beer gardens, every sort of added value that you can do to make it community driven, you focus on. Would you say your focus in Dubai would be race experience, people on the track, there who matter? We're not going to focus on the surrounding. No,
I think it's most important for any race is sort of to test, but I do think that you focus on the race first here in Dubai. The add-ons could take away from the athletes, like if we have a little market or vendor garden, I think it's going to take away from the race, which would be really important for the people here in Dubai. I think it's very much race focused and not the whole event, the day. I don't think it's that. I think it's the athletes.
Yeah. And how do you find race day, as in managing the race day? Because obviously when you take on board Deadly Dozen, you're doing a lot of the marketing, you're doing all that build up, but you're also heavily involved on race day. So how do you find that?
I love it. I love the thrill of it. I mean, I have cried on every Deadly Dozen race just because I'm overwhelmed and probably overstimulated, and there's always something that goes wrong and my emotions just get the best of me. But I actually, at the end of the day, with our last race, Cam and I sat, I think he was having a beer, I was having a gin, and we just, for 20 minutes, we sat and we watched this race and this day go by, and we were just in awe about the community and the people coming, and it is one of the best things to experience, even just working.
Yeah, that's what we found is, it's the same as having an independent gym, is you ask any independent gym owner what they're most proud of, it's the community. And the benefit with Deadly Dozen, with the size, like obviously you guys are getting almost 1,000 athletes to these track events, but what you see with Deadly Dozen and what will be maintained is that community. Like we have people having picnics, you have all the kids, they bring signs, and I think there's almost like a Goldilocks zone, as we call it, for how many people you want at an event. And I think there's a certain point where it tips over and you're no longer knowing who's there. You know, there's thousands of people, there's that many spectators that you sort of, it's beyond this sort of community feel, it's beyond that. You know, it's too big. And Deadly Dozen definitely keeps that. And we've had a lot of people say to me, don't lose that. And I'm like, well, we shouldn't, because we're not growing any bigger, really. We're at almost capacity. Obviously, we can do a little bit more, but the idea is more volume. So for yourself then, what do you think is the next step for you outside of Deadly Dozen business? You're obviously been thrown head first, haven't you, into fitness racing? So are you going to become a fitness racer? Is this now your training focus, to start doing Deadly Dozens yourself, other races like High Rocks and stuff like that? Is this the next step for you?
I think it's more for me, it's just to keep healthy and keep the mind sort of distracted for a little while. You know, if your body feels good, your mind's good, if you just look after yourself. So I think and having a race to work towards is something also extremely inspiring. So it gets you out of bed every day to also just move, because I mean, if we work, we work on our laptops the whole day, so we could just sit in bed and work essentially. So it is something that also you have to get out, you have to go meet people, you have to live the brand. And by going to other races, I think you talk so much about Deadly Dozen then. So I think it is such a good thing from a marketing standpoint, even for a job, to put yourself in the customer's shoes. So that's kind of the reason why I'll start doing races. But no, I don't think I'll ever go into like an athlete. I don't like the competitiveness of it.
You don't like that was my next question. Are you competitive?
I'm very competitive, but I was in high school and everything. I was a little bit too competitive, and it got to a point where my anxiety would just get the best of me. So I actually told myself I'll never ever do any type of competition again.
Because you started to get anxious.
Yeah.
And what was it that you did in school?
Anything and everything. I did hockey, I did netball, I did athletics. I was a javelin thrower for South Africa.
Oh, wow. For South Africa?
Well, I was the top person. I should have gone to Rome, but COVID hit.
Wow.
And then,
So you can throw far?
I could. I don't think I can. Like I said, my upper body strength. I was quite a big and chunkier girl in high school. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. But you found there was so much pressure, because I can relate to that, because when I was a kid, I used to compete in combat sports at no great level. It was just, general stuff, young lad, competing in sport. But there was so much pressure to, to win, because you're either first or you've been beaten up.
Yeah.
There's no second and third place in combat sports, You used to say, I'm not good, I'd never come lower than second. Yeah. And it can be intimidating, because you are getting in the ring with someone to fight. And actually, I felt that towards my late teens, where after you've won a little bit at a low level, and then everyone has the expectation, you'll win. And then even when I joined the military and was doing cross country, and sergeant mate, because they knew you were a good runner, would say, you better win, or you're on guard at the weekend and this. And actually it can have a positive impact, but for me, I started to feel massive pressure. Yeah. And actually that was probably the number one reason why the initial tagline for Deadly Dozen, it's now sort of train anywhere, race everywhere, the world's most accessible and scalable race. But for me, the first tagline was, I beat the race. And the reason why I chose that was because I knew that so many people I'd worked with in the gym and the communities I'd worked with in, yes, they might have been competitive, but actually so many of them didn't like the pressure, didn't want the pressure, it's me versus you, or they didn't want someone saying, you're racing me or I'm chasing you. So I wanted it to have that feeling, which was, I beat the race. So the Deadly Dozen is really hard, it's you versus the clock. Yeah. And that was the real focus. And when I was thinking about wave times and seeding, what we actually did in the UK was we're going to randomise it. So you don't know who's next year. Yeah. You don't know whether it's an elite person or a slow person. There's that many people on the track. There's going to be people in front of you. There's going to be people behind you. And although it comes with nerves, because it's Deadly Dozen, you're putting yourself out there, the idea that it wasn't too much pressure. Yeah. And for me, fitness racing became a sport where I didn't feel there was as much pressure.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to fall back into that cycle of, it
Yeah.
might happen to you. You might, if you've been a high-level javelin thrower, you might say, I'm not competitive. Fitness racing is just a hobby. I just want to be fit and healthy. But then as soon as you start, you get your PRs. It doesn't have to be against anyone else. It can be you and your PRs.
Yeah.
So what's your overarching goals then for Deadly Dozen? So obviously we'll speak to Cam, but what would you like to see in the next year, 2 years, 5 years? What's your expectations? And it can be dream big.
Yeah, I believe it will be one of the biggest fitness races in the world. I think it is already, and then gym races. I think everyone in the fitness industry will know the name, and I think my goal for it is just to see the growth and know that I helped create this big community of people that love it, and the people do love it.
Well, you definitely have helped so far. I mean, what you guys have both done with South Africa and the different roles that you've done in is just exceptional, because from, what was it, December last year when Cam initially got in touch with me, and obviously you guys came on board as a team. What you've accomplished in South Africa is second to none. So we've got directors everywhere. They're all doing a fantastic job. But it was just a reoccurring film that South Africa was just going like that. And in all honesty, South Africa was a surprise to me. I knew that South Africa had so many great events in terms of marathons and ultras and cycling events. But when we launched Deadly Dozen, South Africa was so positive and so receptive. Just time and time again, when I asked the question, where do you want us to go? It was South Africa, South Africa, South Africa. And obviously you guys just came along and were the perfect match to go, well, there's a demand here in South Africa, we're going to make it happen. And the longest drive we've done was 5 hours to Edinburgh, but you guys are doing, how far is it from Cape Town to Joburg?
It's about 13, 14 hours.
Drive?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and we do it with all the equipment in the car, and it's stacked up to the roof, and Cam's he drives
back and forth.
I'm a full passenger princess. Cam does not let me touch a steering wheel.
No.
So he does it all by himself. I just have to keep him awake, feed him, and put on some really good music.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's some travelling, because you guys are literally going all around South Africa, aren't you?
Yeah. No. When we did the South African little tour, or to see all the tracks and the opportunities out there for which towns to go to, it was a 2-week. I thought it was going to be like this very fun road trip, I'm going to places I've probably never been to.
Yeah.
And it was hard. The driving really does make you so tired.
Yeah, it's
but
hard work, isn't it?
It needed to be done, and now we're very planned and we know exactly what's going on.
Well, you guys absolutely threw yourselves in head first, and then now we're all here in Dubai, and we're going to make this happen. And
it's going to be
what
amazing.
we'll achieve in the next 12 months here, obviously sticking to these sort of winter seasons, is going to be huge. And obviously you are going to be a huge part of it, and I can't thank you enough.
Oh, no, I'm so excited. I'm really
Cheers,
so
man.
excited.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.